let's talk about unlocking your brain's true potential. I mean, really unlocking it. We're going to find the keys to this incredible machine you already own. A machine that's capable of learning pretty much anything and learning it way faster than you ever thought was possible.
You know that feeling, right? You meet someone new and their name just, poof, vanishes a second later. Or you study for hours, but when the test comes, it's like all that information just packed its bags and left. It's so frustrating, and it's easy to think, ugh, I just have a bad memory. But here's the thing. That idea, it's the single biggest mistake we make. This belief that your memory is some kind of fixed physical thing you're born with, like your eye color, that you're just stuck with what you've got. Well, I'm here to tell you that is just not true. See, your memory isn't a thing at all. It's a skill. And it's not just any skill. It's kind of like owning a Ferrari that's been sitting in your garage your entire life simply because nobody ever handed you the keys or taught you how to drive it. So today, we're heading to the driver's seat.
Okay, so before we can learn to drive this incredible machine, we've got to pop the hood first, right? We need to understand a little bit about how it actually works. This is where the real magic begins.
So first thing to get is that your memory isn't one giant filing cabinet in your head. As you can see here, it's actually multiple systems all working together. On one side, you've got your declarative memory. That's all the stuff you can consciously declare, like facts for an exam or telling someone a story about your vacation. And on the other side, you've got non-declarative memory. Think of these as your automatic skills and habits, like riding a bike. You don't think about it, you just do it. They use totally different parts of the brain. Knowing which gear you're trying to use is the first step to driving better.
Now, for that first type of memory, the facts and figure stuff, the whole process really boils down to 3 simple steps, the 3 R's. First, you have to actively record the information, or encode it. Then you retain it by storing it somewhere smart. And finally, you have to be able to retrieve it when you need it. The problem is, most of us just kind of hope for the best and skip the first 2 steps. But look, real memorization is an active process. You're building connections. And this is exactly why so many of the study habits we're taught are, let's be honest, total garbage. Highlighting everything in the textbook, rereading a chapter for the 5th time. Sure, it feels like you're working hard, but does it actively engage those 3 R's? Does it build any strong connections? Nope, it's all passive. That's like trying to build a bridge by just staring really hard at the water.
All right, so enough about what doesn't work. How do we actually build those strong connections? Let's get into our first power tool. This one comes from the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Richard Feynman, and it's like an engine for creating deep, genuine understanding of literally any topic.
This quote really says it all, doesn't it? Using a bunch of jargon and complex phrases often just hides the fact that you don't really get it. The ultimate test of your knowledge isn't how many big words you can use. It's being able to explain something so simply that pretty much anyone could understand it.
So here's how you do it. First, you pick a concept and just write down everything you know about it. Second, and this is the absolute key, you try to explain it in really simple terms, like you're teaching it to a kid. This is where the magic happens. It immediately shows you where you're just using fancy words to paper over the cracks in your own knowledge. Step 3 is to go back and review those weak spots. And finally, you refine and simplify your explanation until it's crystal clear. This whole process forces you to build an unshakable foundation.
Okay, so once you truly understand something, how do you lock it into your memory for good? For this, let's move on to our next technique. This is an ancient method that basically turns your brain into a high-powered GPS for information. Now, before I even explain how it works, just look at this. When people were asked to memorize a random list of words, they got about 6 right on average. But when that same kind of list was turned into a crazy visual story, the average person remembered 14. I mean, that's not just a little better, that's a straight-up memory superpower.
And the reason for that incredible jump is actually pretty simple. Our brains are wired for images. Just think about your own earliest memories from when you were a little kid. I bet you see them in your head as pictures, not as a page of text. Visuals are just fundamentally stickier for our brains than abstract words are. So, this is how we tap into that superpower. The memory palace technique is simple. You pick a place you know inside and out, like your own house. Then you map out a path you'd normally walk through it. At specific spots along that path, people call them loci, you place these vivid, bizarre, totally exaggerated mental images of what you want to remember. And trust me, the weirder, the better. Then, to recall everything, you just mentally walk that same path and see all the crazy images you left behind. So, you've learned it simply, and you stored it visually. Now what? How do you maintain that knowledge and make sure it stays strong for the long haul? Let's get into the owner's manual for making your learning last. You know, most of us practice things using what's called blocked practice, just drilling one single thing over and over and over again. Think of it like a basketball player shooting 100 free throws in a row. It feels super productive. But there's a much more powerful method called interleaved practice, where you mix up different but related topics all in one session. So instead of 100 free throws, you'd shoot a free throw, then a three-pointer, then practice a layup, and mix it all up. And the evidence for this is just overwhelming. I mean, look at these scores. Interleaving leads to way better retention, both a day later and especially a month later. So why does it work so well? Because it forces your brain to constantly retrieve different strategies and solutions, which makes those mental connections stronger and way more flexible. Yeah, it feels a little harder in the moment, but the results, they really speak for themselves. And finally, none of these incredible techniques will stick if your brain isn't fueled up and ready to do its most important work. We cannot talk about learning without talking about the single most important maintenance routine for your mind, getting enough sleep. Sleep isn't just downtime, it's prime time. It's when your brain gets to work processing and consolidating everything you took in during the day. While you're sleeping, your brain is busy transforming fragile short-term memories into stable, long-term ones. It's replaying the day's events, reinforcing what you learned, and connecting that new information with everything you already know. Oh, and it's also literally cleaning out all the junk that builds up in your brain while you're awake. Pulling an all-nighter to study? That's like trying to build a house in the middle of an earthquake. It's just not going to work.
So, there we have it. We've popped the hood, we've learned the rules of the road, and we've even covered the best way to practice our driving. It's time to bring it all together.
That powerful, high-performance machine has been sitting there waiting for you this whole time. And now you have the keys. You've got the Feynman technique to build a truly deep and simple understanding of anything. You have the memory palace to visually lock that information in so it sticks. And you have smart practice strategies to keep those memories strong for good. You have the whole system.
So the only question left is, with the engine roaring at a wide open road ahead of you, what will you learn first?